Here we are. Major's Mess Hall video podcast 2.0. So this is the second attempt of a Major's Mess Hall video podcast. And this is episode 143. Like I say, take two. And we are joined by Mike.
Hello.
If we can see him, is he going to pop up? There he is. I can hear him.
Hello.
There he is. So like I said before, I just saying to our viewers and listeners that we have done this once before, but there was a bit of a cock up and we lost what we'd recorded and it's our fault because we didn't test first.
Yeah. Well,
if we'd have done a test,
we did a lot of testing first, but didn't check. I'd say we got too much into the excitement of video and all of that, all the music mixing in and all the technical stuff, and then went right. Let's get to it. Too excited to start and didn't actually hit record. Gav.
Yeah, and this has happened like once before. Well, actually, no. There was one time we did an episode once when Scott was part of the podcast in the early days. And he said, I'll get a guest, don't worry. And I said, well, can you make it somebody interesting? He said, yeah, no problem. I'll bring someone interesting. He brought in this punch-drunk stonehead who could hardly speak. And it was going nowhere. So we did the whole episode and even Scott agreed. And he was like, can it? So we threw it in the garbage. So there is a lost episode somewhere. It was terrible. It was really bad. And then, we had Craig, who was worse than normal on it. So, yeah, we threw it away. But this is the first time it's ever happened where we've actually recorded a full episode and it was garbage and we couldn't fix it. Yeah. So, but it was actually a good episode for what it was worth. So we're going to try and repeat it today.
Yeah.
And keep it interesting. So.
I'm just thinking like how I'm trying to think what an episode of Craig being worse than usual will be. And all I can imagine is like just heavy breathing down the mic as he's possibly falling asleep.
There's been some really bad ones where he's been in a really foul mood, and he's been angry towards me, and there's been no reason to be angry towards me because we've had no argument prior to recording. Yeah, but it's so stressful for me. So I'm like, Craig, calm down. People are listening to you. It's like he forgets that he's got an audience. He just thinks it's me and him. Yeah. And he forgets. It's really annoying. But anyway, this is it now. So it's episode 143, first video podcast. And the idea is that we're going to introduce video podcasts occasionally. We think it'd be good to do with guests. Like sometimes, we have celebrity guests on and they do actually put their webcams on, and yet we're not utilizing it because we're just like, oh yeah, it's just audio. And quite often they're happy enough for us to use the video. We just never do. Mm-hmm. It's not recorded. So Mike said, we should start trying to do that. So that's what we're doing now. So it's still audio. So, you may well be listening to us on Spotify or iTunes or any of those other places as audio, and it's going to continue to be audio. It always will be. We just thought the video aspect would be a nice little addition to what we do. And it's been been doing this for almost 6 years now. So it's nice to add.
It's also nice to play about with other possibilities. Possibilities is what's amazing. There's no... it gives the possibility of potentially doing a live stream and bringing guests on live, or having chats with guests live and come up with questions there and then shoot the shit.
Mike said, their live stream was something that we would really love to do and we've wanted to do for a long time. We never knew how to do it. Thanks to Mike, he's kind of slowly bringing it in now. But that'll be a case of people be able to watch us live as we record and ask us questions, which we'll be able to put up live. Can you do that little thing just to show people what one little thing you did? There is a question there that we did get, which if Mike can put it up, we'll answer it.
So your audio listeners are not going to get this benefit, but I'm just moving the Major's Mess Hall logo to the side and bringing up a tweet. And it's a joke tweet. It's a joke tweet that I did just to show Gavin a demo of what we can do. So for the video listeners, watchers, here you go. So
that's what it would look like. So you'll be able to tweet in and it will come up like that.
That's if that is a real Twitter account. Yeah, go on.
That noise you can hear there on my end, if you can hear it, is the boiler, which is about to kick in. That's not even it. It's going to kick in. There you go. Lovely sound.
I didn't hear that last time you mentioned. No, it's not. But I didn't even hear it last time you mentioned it on version 1 of this. Version 2, I just heard a proper...
Well, if it's too loud, tell me. And the switch is within. Actually, the fucking door's open. Hold on a sec. The door's open.
Might have been the Mrs. Hoovering.
It was me. It was my fault.
So for the people who are listening,
that's much better.
I was just saying, for the people who are listening and not watching, I've just brought up a tweet on the screen from Didgeridoo123. If that's a real Twitter handle, I am sorry, that was my example. And the question from Didgeridoo123 says, do you fart a lot at night? And if so, do they smell? So, do you know what? I was going to be much, much worse with that tweet. But I thought, as I'm setting this up, one of my kids could walk in the room and see this. I thought I'd best tone it back a little bit. So even if the kids walk in, they're going to laugh rather than it being some really horrifically crude tweet.
Are you going to answer this question? I think we should answer it. I think it's an important one.
It's definitely an important one for me. It was Sunday yesterday, so I had a roast. So absolutely yesterday.
So, okay. So the thing with me is I'm very self-conscious about that kind of thing. So like, I guess it's not self-conscious. I'm respectful of my wife.
Yeah.
So normally what I'll do is if I need to do that, I'll get up. Doesn't matter where I am. I'll get up and I'll go somewhere. So if I'm in bed, I'll get up and I'll go to the bathroom.
Have you always been that way? Or did it?
But I've always been like that, yeah.
I was just going to say, have you always been that way? Or have you been like told off by the wife and you go, right, okay.
No, she tells me all the time. She's like, it doesn't bother me, and I'm like, it bothers me though.
Yeah.
And like, she doesn't do it in front of me, so why should I do it in front of her? I'm just kind of like that. But then the kids, that's a different story because the kids think it's hilarious.
And then you, as an irresponsible father, as you should be. Like...
Charlie's the worst for it. Charlie does it constantly. He's terrible. He's really bad. But yeah, we've gone off track here now. But yeah, there you go. So there's the answer to that very important question.
Well, I made the fatal mistake of opening a can of Coke just before we started streaming, so I'm at serious risk of burping on the stream.
Craig does it all the time, so it's fine.
Yeah, I keep turning away from the mic and going.
Talking of beverages, I've got half a bottle of water here on the table, and there was one that was floating around in here for a while. It was half drank; it wasn't finished. And I just left it there. And, obviously it was like stagnant water. So you don't drink that. It's been there for a long time. This, I think, is the one I was drinking the other day when we recorded. So it's probably still okay to drink. It's room temperature, but it's probably okay to drink. So my question to you is, should I take the risk and have a drink of it? Because it could be that other one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If it's the other one, like, it'll be, it's good.
It smells like water.
Tastes like ass.
You know what? I think that is the one from the other day because it's on the desk. The other one that was there for months, it's on the table over there, so it's fine. Something I've got to show because we're on camera. I have to show this. I like little toys and things, so I bought this because Bob Ross is kind of like unofficially associated with this podcast, and I'll explain in a minute why. But I bought this little Bob Ross statue, which I just think is fantastic. And Scott actually bought the same one. So he's got the same one standing on his desk, his podcast desk at home. But the reason why Bob Ross is like unofficially associated with the podcast, in my eyes, is because back in the day, we were suggesting guests and Craig was bringing nothing to the table. And we said, Craig, can you just suggest a guest, have a think, get back to us on the next episode? He said, okay, I will. Next episode comes around. I said, Craig, who have you got? Come on, we want someone we can reach out to and try and get them on the podcast. You have to suggest someone. So he goes, yeah, I've been thinking about it, and it's someone I really appreciate and I like to watch on TV a lot. His name's Bob Ross, and he's a painter. And Scott was like, might be a little bit tough to get him on. And Craig said, why? And he said, well, he's been dead for about 23 years. It was just hilarious because Craig had no idea, but he was this big Bob Ross fan.
Right.
So ever since then, we've joked about Bob Ross. So that's the reason why.
Show it to the camera again, because I'll take a little screenshot of it and you can tweet it. Right, hang on.
You doing it again?
No, I've got it. I'm just saving it.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
I'll send it to you now. There you go. Live TV.
I've got all these little toys on the desk that are like associated with the podcast. Hold on. Somebody's messaging me.
That's me.
It's you. Right. So like, I'll just quickly show people some of these little things. So there's a little Back to the Future time machine because we had a guest on from the second and third movie. That was Jeffrey Wiseman, who played George McFly. So I've got that on there. There's like a little memento to him. There's an Oscar Mayer Wiener little whistle thing. Let me have a little go at this, see how this works. Which end you blow on it? Oh no, it's definitely the other end. It's just a little sausage fan. This is a van that drives around, and Scott got it for me, so that's on there for that reason. There's a shot glass off one of our listeners. There's a rock painted to look like a hamburger by another one of our listeners.
That's
because
cool.
We've had a lot of the Trailer Park Boys on the podcast. Her name's Suzette. She's fantastic. She did a little mini one as well. And these are associated with a character from Trailer Park Boys. There's also a couple of bottles of Trailer Park Boys hot sauce on the desk as well. There's this is cool. You recognise him?
Yes.
That's Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life, because we had Carlos Alazraki, who did the voice to Rocco on the podcast. That's on one of our past episodes. So that was fun. He also did the voice to. Do you remember this guy?
Yeah. Spyro
the dragon. Yeah, he did the voice of Spyro as well.
Wow.
So that's the reason why that's there. And there's a couple of other little things. There's a bottle of whiskey there. Yeah. Oh, I've got to show you this as well. This is pretty cool. So this is a photograph of Devin, Lima and Bradford Yeti from LFO. Devin has since passed away. He was my favourite all-time singer. Like the notes that guy could hit were incredible.
Yeah.
So amazing.
Absolutely.
And Brad, we just love Brad to bits. Brad's been on the podcast a few times, and we're going to bring him back on again at some point. But that was the photo that Brad took for me when they Skyped with us, because again they did video.
That was
and we didn't. I really wish that we'd have bloody done it via this. We could have recorded it. It would have been so wonderful to have. But yeah, he took a screenshot and sent it to me, and I remember at the time thinking like, oh, that's really nice. You didn't have to do that. And I thought nothing of it. And then when Devin passed away, I was like, I'm framing it. So it's on the desk now. So that's the reason why. And then I've got like letters and things like from listeners on the desk as well, which I've like pinned to the desk, which are nice. So it's a proper podcast desk.
Yeah. A little man.
We'll have to get Mikey some, we'll have to get Mikey some little, what are they called? Trinkets. We'll have to get Mikey some little trinkets to pull up. Actually, I've got to show this as well. This is in memory of our friend Mike B, that passed away last year. Where did he go? He went to Washington, D.C. And I don't know why, but he decided he wanted to buy me some like little things from Washington, D.C. I've been to Washington, D.C. twice before. It's an amazing city, but I never bought anything for myself. And he bought me a bottle opener with Washington, D.C. on it, which I use constantly. And it's got a magnet on the back. And he bought me a couple of other little things as well. But I keep that close to my heart now because he's no longer with us, and he was such a lovely fella. So, yeah, special item.
Decent.
Okay, so just very, very quickly, I want to plug something that I've been dying to plug, actually. There's a new podcast out by the girls from the Bewitched podcast. Sorry, no, that's the wrong way to say it. They're from the girl band Bewitched, and we actually had Lindsay on from Bewitched a couple of episodes ago. And they've just started their own podcast. And it's called Bewitched Starting Over. And essentially, it's the girls talking about their early days in the band. There's only 2 episodes out so far. But you know what?
Is the second episode out, or is it a teaser in the first episode?
It's out tomorrow. So by the time this episode goes out, it will already be out. So I haven't listened to it yet. But it's not what you would think, because you'd think, okay, it's a pop band from the 90s and they're doing a podcast. And that's, it's probably really nice. And, they're talking about the fun times. And they are. But they also talk about the struggles that they had. And I actually think it's really inspiring for people that are struggling now in certain situations to like, they talk about like losing loved ones and not feeling yourself, kind of like feeling like you don't have a voice, you don't have a face in it.
I think episode
really
1
interesting.
Did a really good job of setting you up to want to continue listening as well. Like, don't you
definitely
think? Like I listened
it's quite emotional as well.
Yeah,
it's quite emotional. I think they're really enjoying doing it as well, because it's almost like therapy for them as well.
Yeah,
because they're talking about things that they've not talked about since back in the day.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
In a pop band, like the cat's messing about with something in the background. I was in a pop band. We never got signed, but it's really difficult. You don't realize how tough it is. And Mikey was a solo artist and stuff, and it's tough because you're told where to go, what to do, when you're going to eat, what you're going to wear. You're told everything, like how you're going to style your hair. Like I remember I dyed my hair once and he didn't like it. I had to change it and dye it back because he weren't happy with the color it was. And it's like,
I was quite lucky in the sense of I did have a lot of say over what I could do, but then there's also elements that I didn't. But then the other aspect is as well, like you say, of the life of touring and gigging and so on to like a professional level like that is quite heavy. I've done shows where I've done a tour, and it was this was down south, like Southend-on-Sea, and it was, you'd go from one show, which is absolutely amazing. The crowd go nuts. You go to this other show, and I had this one show, and I was pumped from the last one, literally like hours earlier. It was do the show, go, get to the next show, do it, go, kind of. It was that kind of momentum. And I did this first show, and I was absolutely pumped. Arrived at the second show, and it was a glow stick party. So they threw glow sticks at me. And I'm talking the big fat ones. Yeah. And they did it. I actually went back a year later and did pretty much the same set, and they loved it. And the reason they did it is just because they could. They had the glow sticks. Yeah. Why not? Let's just chuck them at them. And then once one person does it, they all do it. And it was one of the most horrific shows I've ever done. And I remember absolutely cacking my pants going back a year later going, I don't want to do it. And my manager was like, just do it. And I went out, and it was absolutely incredible. And I remember the redeeming feeling getting off the stage after that show. So, but like going back to the Bewitched thing, like after I listened to it, I definitely wanted to hear more of the stories that they touched on it. They touch on, the early years stuff, the loss and love, and all of the challenges that come with leaving the industry. And I want to get more info I want to see how that went more, it was really cool listening to how they got together. It's really cool listening to, when they're first getting noticed in Australia after not realizing they'd gone to number one in Australia and stuff
being
like
on the beach.
Yeah. Without no makeup and going, people are looking.
Yeah. You can't even imagine, can you?
No.
It's just, and like I say, like, we never got signed in what we did, like we were just doing like school tours and things like that. So it wasn't on the same level. That's what I mean. I can't even, especially as well, being young girls as well in that industry back then would have been really tough as well.
Yeah.
So listening to these episodes, I'm going to strangle my cat in a minute. She's like playing with a pencil that my dad, who doesn't even live in this country, left here last time he was here. And she's messing about with it. Stop messing.
Well, do it. We're on camera. Like it's an extra added bit of entertainment. Like I'm
trying to grab her, but she's like,
come
here.
I genuinely might burp. I'm this close to burping.
Okay, we'll try. Let's try and be professional. This is Sue Pickle. She's literally she turned 8 2 days ago, and she's such a gentle, lovely little cat. She has seizures for some reason. We don't know why. The vets don't know why. Every now and then, like once, like every 3 years, she has like a little seizure, which is weird. But this is little Sue Pickle, and some reason she doesn't like certain men, but she's fine with women. Just certain men she tries to swipe at. So anyway.
It's funny because our cat's called Pixie, and we call her Pickle for short. And then sometimes because we call her Pickle, I go, "Hello, Sue Pickle." So sometimes she gets called Sue Pickle.
That's funny. That's excellent.
And I'm sure Sue Pickle's a real person, aren't they? Isn't it the Rugrats?
No, that's Tommy Pickles.
What's their mum?
Is that the one called Sue? No, she's not. Well, it's Pickles anyway.
Yeah. Well,
Pickles anyway. Let us know. Email in whatever. Tommy
if Sue Pickles is a real person.
Yeah. Anyway, listen to the Bewitched podcast. It's called
definitely.
Bewitched Starting Over, and you can find it on all the good podcasting places. Like I listen to it on Spotify. It's on iTunes. It's everywhere. So just listen to it, guys. Don't even have to be a fan of Bewitched
you don't.
To get something from it. It's really inspiring. So just check it out anyway. Okay. And what else? Oh yeah, I was going to say something else. Actually, it's a funny little story. We're talking about, gigs and shows and things. I remember I did a gig once with the band. Mike's brother was in my band, Martin. And we did a gig in a place in New Brighton. I can't remember the name of the Victoria pub, I think it was.
Yes. Oh, the Victoria Hotel.
Yes, I think so. But there was a big pub underneath it. And they used to have this thing on I think it was a Saturday night called New Brighton Rocks.
Yeah.
And it was where they'd have rock bands on. And for some reason, our manager thought it was a good idea to put a boy band on. So she spoke to the people there and said, I've got a band there, a pop band. Can you put them on? And I don't know why. They said, yeah. So we went, and there's like an audience full of people that obviously were there to see
rock music,
rock bands. And we get up and sing Backstreet Boys Larger Than Life and like show me the meaning of being lonely and all this, ballads and stuff. And we were getting booed. Like, it wasn't like really bad. Like, we were getting booed, but it wasn't like, right, give me that freaking pencil. Look, the pencil she's been messing with. It's not even a full pencil. Anyway, we were getting like booed and like, you know, it wasn't nice. And we had headsets on, kind of like this, but with the microphone coming down, and the headsets was,
so you could dance. Those on.
Yeah. And they were wireless. God, can you imagine a wired headset?
Yeah.
That'd be awkward, wouldn't it? Trying to dance like wires in my face. So anyway, I'd had enough, and Larger Than Life was playing, and I just went in the middle of the song. I was like, fuck this, I'm done. And I walked off stage. And I walked outside, and I just stood outside the door like this. And I still had my headset on, but it was like around my neck like that. And I just stood there, and then another guy came out, and then Martin, your brother, eventually followed out, and we just stood there. And I was like, I'm not going back in there. They're a bunch of fucking pricks. They're standing there thinking they're all smart. Have you seen the state of them? They only they need a good wash. They're all overweight. They've got beards down to the bloody knees. You know, I feel like I'm performing in front for bloody ZZ Top. I'm not going back in there. It's not happening. And we were bad mouthing them. They were joining in as well, saying like, "Oh, just take no notice of them. They're pathetic and all that stuff." Anyway, Phil, for some reason, who's in the band as well, stayed on stage and carried on. I think it's because he was pushed to the back quite a lot and never got any of the limelight. So when we all went, he thought, "I'll have this." So he's up front singing on his own, and we're all backstage slagging everyone off in there. Mics are still on.
That's
so
right.
Everyone in there could hear what we were saying anyway. So that was the end of that. And I remember the manager was like, "You do not walk off stage. That's so unprofessional." I was like, "I don't care. I've had enough. I'm not standing there singing if they don't want to listen to me. It's not happening." So I vowed, and I stood by it, and I said, if ever I have a bad audience again, I'm not. If people are throwing stuff at me, I'm off that stage quicker than a flash. I'm not messing about. It's not happening. But that was a funny one. That was hilarious.
So if you're watching on video, or the if you're watching the video recording, you'll see the moment I realised where Gav's story was going, because I went. That was the penny drop.
When she told, the manager said, "Do you realise they heard every single word you were saying?" I was like,
"So
bloody hell, the range on these is brilliant." I honestly thought it would have cut out, because it wasn't like, you know, there's the door, there's the stage. It was a fair walk away.
Yeah.
So I was actually quite surprised that he stayed on. I honestly thought he would have went off, and I didn't care anyway. I'm not bothered. We never did New Brighton Rock again.
I had a similar one, but I did plough through, and my manager had booked an actual nightclub. And bearing in mind, I was probably 17, 18 at the time, doing pop music. So this is like Justin Bieber, like going and performing like a proper poppy dance around the stage song in a nightclub where people just want to get high and get off with each other in the corner to dance music. And there's me on stage in the nightclub at like 11:30, 12 at night, doing a full-on performance.
Was this Club Freedom?
No, it was like, I genuinely can't even remember where it was, but it was down south.
We did Club Freedom. Oh, sorry, it was down south.
Yeah. An actual nightclub. He booked me an actual nightclub to do a pop dance set with dancers. I had a group of dancers, like 4 dancers as well. In a full-on nightclub where people just wanted to get pissed and dance and get off with each other.
Crazy. Yeah, crazy.
I did it though.
Not the right audience.
No, did it though.
That's well, good for you. I mean, like I say, we did some bad ones, but when you're not on your own, it's not as bad when you've got other people there with you.
Yeah.
But I couldn't even imagine doing that on your own. That'd be horrible. Well, good on you.
It's all fun.
Anyway, we do have some questions from our listeners, and I'm not going to go through them all because I don't want to make this a massively long episode, but we're going to read some of them out. So let's pick a good one. I'm literally skipping through some of the crazy ones, which I'm sure that's probably not the right thing to do, is it? We want the crazy ones. Liz, and her handle is ChaosChick84, and Liz has a podcast as well. Let me just tell you what the podcast is called. Give it a little plug for it. It's called Chaos Chicks World, and it's a Backstreet Boys podcast. As far as I know, I haven't listened to it yet, but Chaos is Nick Carter's nickname, so that's probably where that's come from. Why is that just there we go. And she wants to know, I want to know when you got into the Backstreet Boys music and why you started playing music. So what was your inspiration for getting into music? And this is actually a really good question to take us on to Ukadian. Mm-hmm. So I'll just answer that very quickly. The Backstreet Boys, I've explained it before. I'm into all kinds of music. I like rock, I like country, I like blues. I like all kinds of stuff. But pop is where obviously I started listening to pop music. I sing pop music. And the Backstreet Boys have been a really big influence for me musically. I met my wife via their website
Great
as well,
story.
Which is the reason why I'm living in Canada, which I'm not going to go into now, but that's, I owe a lot to that band.
Yeah.
And anyway, I started listening to him back in the day, probably about 1998. I was listening to the Spice Girls because, you know, 5 pretty women at that age. It was like 14. It's all you care about. My brother, who's 5 years younger than me, got the Backstreet Boys album, and he got a Boyzone one as well. And he was listening to him, and I remember making fun of him. Like, why are you listening to boys when you listen to lovely girls? What's going on? And anyway, I remember listening to these songs in the background that he was playing, you know, Backstreet Boys album. And I remember thinking, I can sing their stuff. And this is just when I'm starting to realize I had a voice. So I'm like, I can't sing. Why would I want to sing about boys singing the Spice Girls songs? I can sing about girls and singing the Backstreet Boys songs. So I ended up like ditching the Spice Girls and started listening to the Backstreet Boys. And I just fell in love with the music because they sing in 5-part harmony, and you know, I could sing their notes and things, like the little trebles that they were doing. And I could just do a lot with that. And I learned so much from listening to that band.
Yeah.
And then it went on to Boys to Men and Stevie Wonder and things like that. And I learned so much from, you know, I call them my idols, basically. Yeah. So that's where that came from for me. But what about you, Mike? When did you first get into listening to Backstreet Boys?
Brothers. So again, you've said Martin. Martin was in your pop band. I grew up very much with a pop influence in terms of music. So Backstreet Boys was always on that kind of music. I grew up listening to all of their earlier stuff. My brothers would have their... In fact, this came up. You mentioned it a couple of weeks ago about taking a photo with the Backstreet Boys album, and I was like, where am I going to get one from? And you're like, you mean you don't own a physical album? Like, I don't own a physical anything. Like, I'm a proper digital guy. But even back then, I remember, like, I'd never purchased the Backstreet Boys album because my brothers already had it. I was just nicking their albums, like, you know.
Exactly, yeah.
So I was brought up with Backstreet Boys anyway. And as you say, with you, it's probably very much a similar scenario. As you're listening to it, you're trying to recreate it. I grew up trying to sing like Nick, possibly still sound a bit like him now because that's the way I trained my voice to behave, you know. I'd like to think I found my own sound a little bit, you know, now.
You definitely have now, definitely.
But no, like certainly when I was probably 15, I could do an impression of Nick Carter. In fact, I did many times on Yahoo chat rooms. I'd go into the karaoke chat rooms on Yahoo and pretend to be Nick Carter, and definitely fooled quite a few people.
That's excellent. That's fantastic. Yeah, so that's kind of like where that started. And again, you know, mentioned about the music, and when we got into music, it's the same thing, just learning to sing.
Yeah.
Well, realizing you have the talent to sing first and then training your voice.
Yeah. It definitely went that way. Definitely goes, you realize I'm all right at singing. I'm not great. In fact, in many cases, you're probably belting it out in your bedroom and sound like a squealing cat. But in your head, you're like, I can do this. Like, this is amazing. But then many years of carrying on like that is when you get better and become a singer.
I mean, you know, I didn't even think about it back then, and I have since, but like I used to belt out some mad high notes that would just probably sounded like a cat being killed.
Yeah.
And I actually owe my neighbours an apology because I'm sure they must have heard me. I was trying my best, and I don't regret it because I think trying to do those things, even though it sounds terrible, is important.
Oh no!
And at the time, I thought it sounded great at the time, but I know in hindsight now, because all it was about back then, I was in a band with another 4 guys, and it was just a constant competition of who could hit the highest note. Didn't matter about how clever you were doing it. You just had to hit it. Yeah. And I remember that I was quite good at hitting those notes, as was James, and Lee was always quite jealous of that because he could never quite hit the notes, and we were just totally focused on the wrong thing. It's not about how high you can hit. Look at Ronan Keating. Ronan Keating's not like what you consider a clever singer with his voice, but the guy's got an amazing voice.
Yeah.
And I'd kind of like, and I'm a big Ronan Keating fan, but I'd kind of forgotten about that, and I should have took a leaf out of his book and just focused on what I was good at. Instead, I was trying to be Wanye from Boys to Men, and I don't have that ability. So you can't force yourself to do something that's just not there. You need to embrace what it is, what you are good at. So in the end, I finally got my head around that, and now I think I've got a really nice voice.
I had a similar scenario. I've got many memories of it being probably about 3:00 in the morning. My dad's absolutely wasted out of his mind, but he's in my bedroom. We're blasting the Backstreet Boys, "Shape of My Heart," and he's like absolutely buzzing because I'm going, in full voice, like, you know, but buzzing off it, like, Dad, look at this high note that I can hit. Yeah. And he's just, do it again. Pissed us apart. Do it again. All right.
Keep doing it.
Yeah. So I owe my neighbours a few apologies. I probably owe these neighbours some apologies as well, because when I'm doing housework, the headphones go in and like I'm off. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, so I mean, that's where it started. It's just, having idols and aspiring to do what they do, and then that's where I formed the band and things like that. Got into a little bit of songwriting because I really appreciated what Richard Marx was doing as well, because he's my favourite singer-songwriter, and yeah. That's it really. And that takes us on to our current project, which is called Ukadian, which is, if you didn't know already, it's UK, which is where we're both from. Mike still lives there. And Dian is from Canadian, which is where I live now. I live in Canada. So we just kind of combine the two names, which is spelled, I got to spell this out, Ukdian is how you spell it. And we basically just decided to start doing old songs that we'd written in the past and redoing them. And it just, we found that we just gelled so well. Our ideas, it was like we finished each other's ideas off. You literally, it's like painting a painting. You start it off and you go, I don't know where I want to go with this. Yeah, Gav, take this, and you try and do something with it. And then I take it a completely different direction that you had envisioned. And you're like, whoa, what? It's like I've finished the vision off, and then you take it back and you finish it off, which you'd have never got to do if I hadn't put that little middle bit in. Yeah. So it's just amazing the way it works, and it works both ways as well. It's worked the other way with some of my songs as well. Like the best one I can give as an example so far is No Remorse, which is already out now on Spotify. You can listen to that one. Was just a terrible completely little different demo, but Mike just heard this. He heard something special about it. He was like, I can do something with this, and now it's this fantastic.
But then
pop song.
Don't forget version 1 as well. The first initial demos, we went through different sounds. And I think one of the arguments I said to you early on in this, doing this, and I think this was during Never Ending, and you threw an idea my way, and I was like, it's not that. And you're like, well, what is it then? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I just know it's not that. And when I know I'll know what it is when you show me what it is. And then you did some new thing, and I'm like, that's it. That's the one. Yeah, so it is. It's very much like that, finishing off each other's things, and you have a vision yourself, and neither of us are precious about our ideas, but we kind of, once we hit the spot, we automatically agree and go, that's it. Like your voice note for this song, Better Together Forever, with your ad-lib at the end, and I love your laugh at the end. You're like, I've done this high note, and then you played it to me, and I'm just like, I can't believe how amazing it sounds.
It was great. It just fitted. It just
and then I got up the next morning, listened to it, and I was the same. I was like, whoa, wow, that's unreal. Well, we've already put a snippet out, so they're going to get a slightly different snippet if I play one.
Yeah, so we're going to play a clip of that now. And so this is the most recent song that we've completed, and it's an a cappella. And if you don't know what that means, it means a song without instruments, basically. So it's just all vocal. We've doubled up on our vocals and harmony. Yeah, okay. So it's doubled up, we've doubled up on our vocals. So it sounds like a lot of people singing at once, but it's only me and Mike. We wrote the song. It's actually the first song we wrote together. Other than that, we've kind of just took little bits, dribs and drabs of other songs that we've done in the past separately, and then finished them off together, if you like. But this is the first one that's from scratch. Literally started with a voice note. Mike sent me a voice note and said, see what you think of this. And he just literally started it off and went, ooh. And that's basically all it was, really. It was just a little ooh. And now it's this beautiful, and I might sound big-headed saying that, this beautiful song that we've written.
I'm proud of it.
I'm really proud of it. Really proud of it. It's so good. We listen to acapellas by Boys to Men and even A1, we've had Paul Morazzi on from A1 in the past, but acapellas by bands like that, and even the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, and it fits in with all that sort of stuff. It's not a song that you would go, that's a single, because you don't release an acapella as a single, but it's a perfect album filler for a vocal group that want to showcase what they can do.
So I'm just double checking, Gav.
What me and Mike can do.
I'm just double checking you can't hear this, because while I cue it up.
Okay. Can't hear anything.
Excellent. Where do you reckon we go from? Just pre-final chorus?
Well, yeah, I guess so. So we've already sampled the first 60 seconds of the track online anyway. So Mike's going to give it a different sample from the track, basically, not the first bit.
All right, I'm nearly there.
Bear with us.
All right, nearly there. About 5 seconds away.
3.
Yep. Right.
2,
Okay. All right. Flip it now. Right. Let me turn the volume up then. Ready? So it's going from standing by my side.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Let's go.
And there's no one else that I would have standing by my side.
A heart that is pure isn't easy to find. That's why I'm sure that we're better together forever.
There you go.
That high note though.
It's great, and it's what it needed as well. It needed something. Yeah, it needed a crescendo at the end. It took me about 7 times to get that right, and it was only based on the timing alone because I wanted to make sure I stopped and started every single word at the same time you did, which is important, obviously.
Yeah.
But I kept doing it, and I was nailing the notes, but I wasn't nailing the time, and I was ever so slightly out. And I thought Mike could fix that, but I'm going to do it. So I did it and made sure I did it spot on.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So I'm proud of that. It's a good note. I like that note. But yeah, that's from our song Better Together Forever.
People might miss it though, who don't have a musical ear or can't hear the intricacies of the harmonies, but the way everything interchanges. So my lead goes da 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 da, up, down, up. Yours goes da 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 da, and then the harmonies around that are all over the place. You can't really tell what the main flow is because there isn't one. They're just all over.
There's another bit that talking about this like formation of all these harmonies doing different things, and they all at some point as they're intertwining, they all hit a certain point where you just go, oh my God.
Yeah.
And there's this one bit it does in the song, which I told you about it the other day. I called it the Boys to Men, Ode to Boys to Men.
Oh yeah.
And it's where I done like that ad lib with the ooh, like that very high pitched ooh. And there's one little bit in it's not where it goes really high, but it's one little bit in the middle there where it's Boys to Men. It's exactly what they would do. I don't know how. I didn't even mean to do it. It was actually a mistake. And I listened back to it and I'm like, oh my God, that's what Boys to Men would do. It's really cool.
I'm gonna see if I can find it.
It's the first bit of that whole bit, Mike. It's the very first bit. If you're gonna play it out, I'll point it out to you.
After the first chorus, yeah? All right, here it is.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Okay. Okay, so not this bit, it's coming up. I'm gonna point when it comes on. Okay, this next bit now. That whatever I did there and whatever you're doing in the background with the added harmonies that I did, it's Boys to Men. It's definitely Boys to Men.
Can you tell we're proud?
they do these really obscure notes though when they do acapellas and stuff, Mike. They really do, and that is one of them. And I don't know how I did it, so it's not like I'm going, oh yeah, I did that and I know what I did. I don't know how I did it, but that's it. That's it. It's so good. And you've essentially heard the old song now.
Yeah, might as well chuck it out. Screw the EP, have it all.
Yeah, so Mike mentioned they were doing an EP and we're doing like 6 songs. We've already released 2 that aren't going to be on the EP, so there's like Never Ending. Yeah, Never Ending and No Remorse already out to listen to on Spotify and all iTunes and stuff like that. But the EP is going to have all like originals, and one of them, I'm not naming any. I'm not saying anything because I don't want to jinx it. But one of them is potentially going to have a special guest on the track, somebody that like means a lot to me and Mike. So I just don't want to say who yet in case it doesn't happen. But it's looking good. That's all I'm going to say. And we're looking forward to releasing the EP. We're working on. He sent me another little snippet of a piece of because we were set. There's like 2 songs that we had left to do, and we were kind of like one of them Mike had wrote. And one of them I wrote, and we were kind of like, these are the 2 we're doing. And Mike sent me this other clip now, and I'm like, I've got to do that now. That's so good. It's just really good. It's exactly what's modern in the charts today, and it's what I think needs to be on this EP. We need a modern song, And
it's funny you say modern
song, but it's 80s influence.
Well, that's what modern songs have got now. Like most songs now in the charts are all 80s influenced, like retro wave stuff.
They are. Have you heard The Weeknd's Blinding Light?
It's exactly that.
That's what that's like. It's it doesn't sound the same, but it's the same feel.
Yeah.
And I think there's a good song in there because I listened to it a few times and I'm like, I already know a melody that we can use there. So it's just a case of sitting down and doing it. But I don't know when this EP is going to come out. I'm hoping it's soon because, the track I was talking about with, that's going to hopefully feature someone on. I know as soon as it's done, all I'm going to want to do is show everyone.
Yeah.
But I don't want to put any of these songs out in full until the EP is finished because I want to release it fresh so that it's like we can get feedback and people can just sit down and listen to it from start to finish and get a feel for what we can do. And it's so eclectic as well. Like there's not one song that's like the other. There's a rock song on there. We actually did. It's like, to me, it's like a Bon Jovi track.
Yeah, or
like,
Muse.
And, did you compare it to like a Muse song? Like it's not like what you'd expect from us at all, but it's so good. I listened to it the other day for the first time in a couple of months. It's so good, man. It's such a good track.
Yeah,
I can't wait to put that one out as well.
It's a vocal-centric rock song. Like it showcases vocals great, but it's also quite rocky. So
there's typical pop songs on there. There's going to be songs on there that like, and there's only 6 tracks, but there's going to be like a track on there that you could equate to being like Ed Sheeran. Mm-hmm. There's the 80s one that we're working on, which hopefully that we'll decide we're going to use that for it as well.
Don't forget, we've got a few unfinished ones from early, like in your eyes.
There's that as well. Okay, so the original aim was for us to do an album. We were going to do an album, but Mike made a good point and said the album's going to take a long time. So I think we should do an EP first. And then who's to stop us doing an album after that? And I agree. And we might even take some of the tracks from the EP and put them on the album anyway. And then just like release an album with like another 4 new songs, including the tracks that were on EP. Who knows? We might do remixes of the songs that were on the EP to give it another feel. Yeah. We could do whatever we want. That's the beauty of it. But Mike mentioned there's old songs that we like started and then stopped. We still need to finish those. We literally just get excited about other things and we end up moving on. So, I'm just excited about what we can do. It's coming together slowly but really nicely. Yeah.
I keep looking at my Coke, thinking I'll have another sip. No, I won't, because I'll end up perfect. I'm thirsty.
Well, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to wrap it up in a minute, but I am going to take one more question because, we've only answered one. Let me just see.
Right, while you're hunting, I was going to say, while you're hunting that, I'll cue up the outro music, but I suppose I best fill. So
I've got a question.
Yeah.
I got one. Okay, so this is from Danielle, and her handle is Say With Style VA, and she wants to know, where is the first place you want to travel to when it's safe to do so? So that is easy for me. The first place I want to travel to when it's safe to do so is back to the UK to see everyone. As much as I'm dying to take the kids to Disney World, which we've been wanting to do for a while now, that's on the back burner because going home is so much more important to me. Last time I went home was 2018, and it's been a long time, and I don't know when the next time I'm going to get to go home. So it's important for me to go and see. I've still got a nephew I've never met before, and he's already turned 1. I haven't met him yet. He doesn't know who I am. My granddad's turning 90 in May, and it's hard. I just really want to go home and see everyone. So that is the top of my list, UK.
Yeah, and I want you to come back this way as well, so we can actually do a music session face to face. Because we'll probably churn out like 3 songs in one night.
I'm serious. Like my plan, there isn't a plan, but like when I come back, I want to do like a little, and even if it's just using our phones, I want to do a little photo shoot. We've actually got pictures. We don't even have a picture together. It's really weird. Like there's nothing. Like I've been half tempted sometimes to like, and I'm obviously joking, Mart, if you're watching this, to like get a photo of me and Mart and stick your head on his body just so we can use it for promo, which I'd never do because Martin's one of my best friends. I'd never do that. I was the best man at his wedding. I love him to bits.
And he doesn't have this exceptional beard, which goes down to his chin.
Yeah, he's got a better beard than me, so I'm going to pass comments on that. But like it's the photos, and then I want to do like a couple of like live performances to put out online. I'd like to actually do some sort of open mic night as well. Would be amazing if we could actually do a gig on stage. Would be great. I mean, that's dreaming big, but just I definitely want to do some like meet up performances and like just all kinds of stuff. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
So what about you? Where do you want to go when you're allowed to travel?
I want to go out with my brothers anywhere. Touched on this in version 1 of this conversation. But, Dad died in October. So it was literally, we spent an amazing, I've touched on this on the podcast before, an amazing 3 days together with Dad in hospital before he went. And then it was funeral, and then it was apart. So it's gone from full lockdown, COVID, no family contact whatsoever, to 3 days unreal with my brother, where we just became so unbelievably close, much closer than we've ever been in our entire lives, to this horrific, funeral, horrifically sad occasion, to nothing. So it was literally like a punch in the face of this amazing stuff, and then it's gone, and you're left like,
yeah,
where the fuck's all that gone? You have the craving for that as well as the loss of my dad. So I do have quite a bit of a craving for being with my brothers and just being brotherly arseholes together, just being 100%. Stupid.
And I can relate to that as well, because the last time I was home was for my nan's funeral. So you're there, you're grieving for your loss of your nan with my cousins. There's 4 of us. Like, she had 4 grandsons, and so that's my brother Ed and my cousins Chris and John, and it was really weird because for the first time in like 20 years, we were stood in me nan's house together, which just never happens. And even in the back garden, we were stood there, like, waiting for the car to arrive and stuff. And it's just like, I've never felt so close to them. It was really weird. And then, like, I'm only there for 2 weeks after my nan's funeral. It was less than that, actually, before I had to come back to Canada. So even like grieving with my dad and my mom and my brother just on his own, like, I literally was, there you go, you're saying bye to your nan and then you're coming home. So I haven't been back since. It's horrible. And there was plans to. We were supposed to go back last year, and we never did, obviously. So this COVID, man, it's nice that there's light at the end of the tunnel. I just can't wait to go home. I really can't wait.
Absolutely, yeah.
So on that note, I think we will wrap up this episode. So hopefully this is recorded. If it has, you've already watched it or listened to it. So Mike is confident. I'm still going to get him to text me after this to tell me that it has. But yeah, this has been episode 143 with me and Mike. We'll be back with the next episode, which probably will be audio, but we don't know. We might test video again. What was that for then?
Nothing. It's fine.
Has it recorded? Seriously?
Yeah, it has, yeah.
What was the for then?
Just winding you up. A whole 48 minutes of it so far. Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so anyway, yeah, we're going to go now, and we're going to bring Craig on for the next episode, I think, unless we have a special guest. I don't really like bringing him on for special guests. 1, because he's terrible at interviews, and 2, it's like if you've got a crazy dog and you bring in someone into the house to fix something, you put the dog away, don't you? Because you don't want the dog to be embarrassing. Craig's kind of like that.
Kind of like that dog.
Except the opposite of a happy dog. He's like a miserable cat.
You just come in and shit everywhere.
No, but it does. He uses a toilet. I mean, let's not be silly, but it does smell the whole house out when he does. I'm not even lying. Like, it takes hours to clear. It's really weird. I think he needs to see a doctor about that. But anyway, we'll be back with episode 144 in a couple of weeks' time. I've been Gav. He's been Mike. Thank you very much for watching / listening. And yeah, I'm not even going to give I do have to give the details out because people who are listening won't hear them.
Just read them off the bottom.
Yeah, you can see them on the bottom. You don't have to look at the paper anymore. You can just read the bottom. We got the Twitter is at Majors Mess Hall. If you go to at Majors Mess Hall on Twitter, give us a follow. We'll follow you back. We always do. Instagram is at Mess Hall Podcast. Same again there. We'll follow you back. We post some funny stuff on there. Facebook, if you go to Facebook, just like type in Majors Mess Hall, you will find us on there. And again, give our page a like and enjoy our content. Website, majorsmesshall.com. You can go there. There's links basically to everything I just said on the website. It does need updating. We're working on that. This takes priority now, though, but we are working on that.
Yeah.
And then if you go to the Patreon page, if you want to become a patron of our podcast, you go to patreon.com/Majors Mess Hall. And you can donate to us monthly. All the money goes back into the podcast page for things
like this.
Yeah,
this wouldn't be possible
because Zoom isn't free. The website costs money. Uploading to SoundCloud costs money. It's just there's costs involved. And thank you very much to all our current patrons for helping us out. And yeah, that's it.
So hopefully,
what were you smirking at before when I was reading stuff out?
The website. Looking at the website, thinking, "Oh, God, I've been saying for about 6 months, maybe even a year. I'll redo the website."
I've not really nagged you about it, have I?
No.
Just kind of like, because there's other stuff to do. I'd rather do Ukrainian at the moment. The website is there. It's still functional. It's just got Scott's face all over it. Which is fine. Scott is still a part of our podcast. He's just not a full-time host. But we'll have to bring him on. I think he's getting a webcam so that he can do the video podcast with us. So that will be funny to see Scott on there. Yeah, it will. Because sometimes I'll say things and he'll just have his face on and it just makes me laugh.
He won't be able to cheat if we play a game.
Yes, that's the main thing, because he does cheat at games. So if we have the camera
onto you, Scott.
Yeah. And what we'll have to do is we'll have to make him hold a mirror so that we can see his screen as well to make sure he's really not cheating.
Definitely. I'm looking rather red. I think it's the webcam, I'm not.
Yeah, Mike isn't foreign, in case you thought maybe he was. He's not. Anyway, on that note, we're going. Right, I'll see you later. Take it easy, guys. And here's the outro music.
Hopefully.
Oh. Well, that's the intro music, but it doesn't matter. We'll work on that for next time.
Yeah, we'll sort it.
Yeah, the outro music kind of fades in. Anyway,